Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it. Plus, you'll be able to get our best watches delivered to your inbox on a daily basis. Every minute, every watch here on Watchbox Reviews. And if you enjoy our pre-owned watches, check out thewatchbox.com for the internet's largest single source for pre-owned timepieces as well as vintage. See them with high-res images, boxes, papers, accessories included, and of course full pricing for our entire collection of pre-owned and vintage timepieces. The watch on my wrist is sensational. A combination of perhaps an HR Giger aesthetic with a Japanese domestic market sensibility and a bit of a great pumpkin aesthetic. The watch on my wrist is the Seiko Sportura Kinetic Chronograph, a spectacular automatic powered quartz chronograph, a substantial 42 millimeters across the broad of the case from 9 to 3. This 2005 limited edition of 2005 pieces will never be mistaken for anything else. This is a watch that's almost alien in its aesthetic. Again, the Giger reference is coming through. The watch is big as well. Though 42 millimeters from what would conventionally be 9 to 3, it really doesn't wear that way. The watch is 14.2 millimeters thick, so fairly slim. It will fit under a jacket cuff. It's across the wrist that this one really expands its form. 48 millimeters if you actually measure lug-to-lug across the watch body itself, but it's so integrated with its bracelet that I take the rigid outermost outcroppings of the bracelet and I measure from those points to their opposite number across the band, and I find this is really a 60 millimeter watch across the wrist. But as you can see, once it's sized down with the proper removable links removed, the watch will sit on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. So this wrist is 16 centimeters circumference. I believe you could wear this watch successfully on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, but probably no smaller. Now the timepiece is highly integrated. It looks all of a piece. The bracelet blurring into the lugs, blurring into the case, blurring into the clasp, all blackened in stainless steel. The watch has a resilient diamond-like carbon coating, so though the timepiece here is 13 years old, it shows no examples of scratches or scuffs or disfigurement. The coating has held up well, proving the value of Seiko's material science division. Now the chronograph is special because it's so completely divorced from the time-telling functions of the watch. And if you're into the Jaeger-LeCoultre Duomet, but perhaps your budget doesn't quite accommodate, and you've got a little bit of JDM style sensibility to you, consider this. Flying second hand, you can see, it is actually a 10 beat per second El Primero style, 36,000 vibrations per hour. So when you stop the chronograph, it will stop on one of the 10 individual demarcations of the flying seconds dial. You can see there is a flying minute dial that is one circuit per minute at 12 o'clock, and then an superimposed hour and minute register. So you have your flying second, 1 minute, and then chronograph hours and minutes with a 30-minute demarcation and a 12-hour demarcation at what would conventionally be 3 o'clock on the dial. Now stop it. And as you can see, the watch is very precise, resolving down to 1/10 of a second, but the display for the time is completely separate from the chronograph. Now this watch is a kinetic with a end-of-life indicator for the power reserve, so I just put this one on my wrist and shook it to start it up for the video, which is why the seconds hand is making a double jump, a 2-second jump, to remind me that I need to shake it. So the timepiece can be shaken 200 times to fully energize, and when you fully energize it, it will have a 1-month power reserve. So this is a long-legged watch. If you're thinking, well, that's not an everyday watch style-wise, that's fine. You only need to wear it once a month. That's the advantage of having a battery-based quartz caliber with an automatic winding system based on a 38 joule flagship movement. Originally debuted as AGS, the kinetic system is a dynamo-powered quartz movement. So you have that rotor on the case back like you would on a mechanical watch. It turns a small dynamo that energizes a battery. The battery then powers the quartz movement, and the whole thing is known as a 9T82. It is a flagship Seiko Kinetic caliber. So not a spring drive, because spring drive has no battery and it only uses induced electrical currents. This is powered by the battery but energized by the rotor. Now there is a crown, a screw down crown with a rubber shoulder, and you can pull that crown and you can stop the seconds hand, so it does feature hacking. There's also a date disc that's incredibly understated and buried within the Cyclops Eye magnifier at 3 o'clock. It does feature a quick set so you can rapidly cycle should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. The watch is loomed, only the time telling functions, not the chronograph, so there will be a loom shot at the end, and you can see that the 38 jewel flagship of the Kinetic line that dates back to Baselworld 1986 when it debuted as AGS as a concept and remains one of the highlights of Seiko's global technology portfolio, protected down to 100 meters. An impressive case-back display for a watch that's remarkably accessible. The fact that you can take this one in the water and get wet and wild at the pool, the club, or the beach means that although it may not be an everyday watch, nevertheless it may be worn every fun day of your life. So what if you got to wear something more discreet to the office? You know what? Stick it to him. The man makes the watch, not the other way around. And I believe you can wear this Seiko Sportura Kinetic Chronograph anywhere your wrist may go. See it on the watch box. And we're back with the Seiko Sportura Chronograph. For the record, guys, this is the SLQ019, so I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the open, but you can see though the dial is small, it is rather elaborately and comprehensively loomed. You can even see the jump of the end-of-life indicator of this kinetic movement that needs to be worn and shaken a little bit in progress. You can see it and you can own it by the light of day on the watch box.